Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriel Hirschberger, host of the 20 Mile March podcast. I'm so excited today because I get to talk to my friend, Natalie Webster. Natalie is the founder of Priority Experts. Priority Expert is leading the way in monetizing customer success. So, Natalie, I'm so thankful for you that you would take your time. I know it's late to be with us and share customer success stories. So unpack a little bit for me the customer success and how you monetize it.
Yeah. So Priority Experts, we feel that customer success kind of contains three entities. It's customer support, of course, but it's also sales and community management or social media. We feel that it's kind of like a triad and it all works together. It's all kind of under the customer success umbrella. So we've found ways to basically build and enhance these teams and find ways to make customer success extremely profitable. Most companies view customer support and social media management as just like an operations expense. It's an expense that has to be there. It's just a cost and you have to throw it away and you just have to get it done, when in reality that is so far from the truth. And of course, sales, of course, brings in money. So we've just found a way to have absolutely the best systems in place and have the best teams built in place to make sure that that's actually not a cost center, it's a profit center.
Great. And so what type of companies do you typically work with that has like I'm a one-man shop. So, like I do customer service, I do everything. And so, what is your perfect client right now?
Typically, my perfect client would be somebody who's maybe in the $500,000 plus range. I've worked from low $500,000 solopreneurs all the way up to like multi-million-dollar online SaaS companies. And so that's my typical client. Basically, somebody who is ready to have customer success taken over by an expert, which Priority Experts is experts. And so that's my typical company, anywhere from 5,000 all the way up to multi-million-dollar SaaS online companies. I also work with consultants. Basically anything with a product that is a deserving of customer support is kind of what I cover.
Cool. So there you use the word customer support. And so you customer success, is that a familiar term to people out there? Or that's the new PC term rather than like fill me in a little bit there, or fill our listeners in that don't know.
Sure. Yeah, customer success, definitely like a rising term. It's kind of like you said, the new term that's coming into play. A lot of people kind of in the back of their mind have this kind of weird feeling about customer support. I didn't want to go out there and be like, I'm a customer support rep. That's just not what I thought of like when I was growing up. So definitely some brilliant people out there coined customer success. It made it sound a lot better. But in reality, customer support is only a small part of customer success. Customer success is basically the entire journey of a customer. So support is part of it, but customer success is kind of a new term.
Yeah. I think what's really cool when you shared with me before is that you basically pay for yourself completely and then some, and you make so much more money for the company because you collect like, tell me a little bit more about how you do that. And just, it's like a different way to think about it. And I think that it's just kind of to me, after you explained it, it's like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, like, of course I want to get that money that's basically, it's like a leaky bucket, it's just kind of falling through. Is that a good analogy for it? Like, it's like you have holes, right? In your funnel and stuff like that, right?
Yep. A lot of people just don't even realize it. And that's why like Priority Experts, we're not just like really good customer support reps. I'm not just a really good salesperson. Like there's really a strategy involved to the way we approach things. Me and, my experts in my company, like we are so honed in on sales funnels. Like we just know exactly how they operate. So we can take a simple, like one line customer support, question somebody's like, this link is broken, and we can go in there and diagnose like a whole funnel problem. I mean, it's a lot more than just saying, okay, here's a new link to work. Like, it takes a trained brain to say, okay, why is this link working? You know, and things like that. Is this person in the completely wrong funnel? But that's just kind of like the everyday stuff. I mean, there's so many things in support, like who's talking to your refund people, like who's trying to like not necessarily convince people not to refund, but find out why somebody's refunding and how to prevent that in the future. Who's checking up on failed invoice? Every SaaS has a failed invoice. It just happens. You know, you have an automated system collecting payments. Who's collecting the payments that don't go through? I've been in companies and I'd ask, you know, what's your failed payment process? Well, I froze. Oh, sorry, I froze for a second.
There you are.
I'll go into companies and I'll say, hey, what's your failed payment process? They're like, oh, I don't know. We don't have one. And then I pull the report and it's like 20 grand in failed payments. You know, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's $20,000.
Yeah, but I guess they're so big that they sort of like don't even see it. They don't even think about it. It's just like, oh, it's just 20,000. That's just lying on the sidewalk.
But would you pay me $5,000 a month to go hunt down $20,000 a month? That's $15 grand. I mean, why not?
Right. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. It's a no brainer there. So, yeah, that is awesome. So, I know you put together something great for our listeners, and that was like some tips and that are key because you're an expert in this area. It's a field where I really actually don't know. How long have you been doing this, by the way?
Several years. Yeah.
You've been doing this for a while. And so, yeah, start with whatever you have number one there about, and yeah, that'd be awesome about like basically, key takeaways. Like you're not going to do a mini course or anything like that here in this time. Like I'm sure we could deep dive into every one of these things and spend like a whole week basically on the nitty gritty, the details of all the things. But on sort of, I think Natalie's going to give us this high level sort of overview here, and we're going to talk briefly about these things. So go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so I always like to start with sales because that's kind of like everybody's exciting thing. Like, I want a salesperson. I want sales in my business. And so I always like to start there. Sorry, it's kind of active outside if you hear some screaming.
Your kids.
Yeah, they're running around. Dad's out there. So for sales, so sales has to be completely human. So every company that I do sales with has a sales funnel. It's important. And the big word on the street is automation. Everybody wants to do automation, which is so exciting. I totally agree. I think automation is amazing, but automation is not going to do everything. I have gone head to head with an automated funnel. And most of the time I win. It's usually at least 50% of sales because no matter what, a lot of people just want to talk to a human. It's very, very unsatisfying or kind of weird to buy large products, especially like courses and kind of very expensive products without actually interacting with a human. Like you just don't know. So it's really important to have that human interface. And so I go head to head with sales funnels all the time. And what I find is when I go into a company and say, hey, what's your sales process like? And they don't have one. The first thing I do, I said, hey, like, where's the human interaction? Where's the human call to action in your sales funnel? And they're like, well, I don't know. So what I do is the easiest thing to do is put that human interaction in your sales funnel at different increments. Like prior to, let's say you have a webinar, people go into a webinar funnel, you know, they get let in, they see a webinar, put a Calendly link at the end of the webinar saying, hey, like schedule a call or call us right now. Like they're excited. They want to buy on the webinar. That's like the best place to have a phone number or at least a Calendly. But other places is, you know, every once in a while, break up your sales funnel from, you know, if everything's coming out from the same email, they're going to start thinking of that as just an automation. They're going to start blindly kind of like looking, they're not going to really pay attention, no matter how good your copy is. Break that up. Kind of create a customer success name in your funnel. Like, oh, everybody knows Natalie's there to help. So when they get an email from Natalie, like a how can I help email, it's going to break up that monotony of the funnel, and they're going to feel a human interaction, and they're going to get a chance to schedule a Calendly link with me. or call with me via Calendly or something like that. So it's very simple to add those, and it kind of breaks up the human mind of thinking that this is an automation. And then of course, things like cart close. Somebody's like, oh, it's about to close, I need to buy, but I really have some questions.
Yep.
Other places like, if you have kind of a complex product, I've sold some products that are really, really good, but they're kind of complex, and people just need to be explained how it works. Doing a live demo is just like the best thing. It's like super easy to sell. Only thing with demos, just make sure those people you're doing demos with are completely like really qualified customers, because they can take time. But doing demos, and this is where a bot can come in, cart close, Facebook Messenger bot, sending out some sort of like link saying, hey, please call us. After maybe they cart close and they didn't buy, do like a why didn't you buy survey via bot, but always want that bot to lead to a human. So it's totally cool to use bots, have them trying to start that conversation, doing that low level stuff, but then slowly pushing them towards a human. It's just really, really important that customers have multiple ways that they can get in contact with a human. I think phone lines are really, really important. A lot of online companies, they have their ticketing system, their online support, they have chat, but there's no way to call. And a lot of people are like, I just have one question, I want to call really fast. It's really important to have that interaction.
Yeah, totally. I've got this course from Ty Lopez. He teaches a lot of things, and one it was like social media secrets or something like that. And so I purchased the course, and then I went through it, and I really felt like it was fluffy. And so I was like, you know what? I feel like I really would like to apply for my refund for this thing. And so I went after it for like a month back and forth trying to get to him, because I could not get somebody on the phone. It was so hard. And I'm basically still trying to get my money back from that one. I have sent like 8-10 emails. I've tried to call, and it just always goes to voicemail, and no one ever gets back to me. It's super frustrating. So it's poor customer success. So, and I loved what you said about like the idea of having an email coming from Natalie. Like, that's so brilliant. Like I never would have thought of that. So smart. And so you're saying scheduling multiple touch points. That makes a lot of sense for that human interaction. So great. Yeah, that's great. I wanted to like make sure that we summarized sort of the key points there, because you go fast. And you said a lot.
It's a thing about sales. Like I do sales all the time, and I'm like, I got to get all these points out right now, because people have questions. Then I have the CEO be like, you've been on this call for 45 minutes. I'm like, I know, but they just bought. So, I mean, do you really care that much, but still. I'm a fast person. Maybe that's why people are like, okay, I'll just buy it. No, I'm just kidding.
So number one was sales. What's number two?
So just realizing, like this human CTAs, but also just kind of some fun places too. Like where are your lowest hanging fruit? Where do they live in your funnel? And how to kind of scoop those people up. So some of the best places is if you have an automated webinar, or even a live webinar, or if you have any type of video going, when I call them the 75% watchers. It's just like a term that I say to myself. My team knows it. What it means is somebody who's watched about 75% of your content. Main thing is you want them to get the pitch, and you want them to see the price. It's really important that they see the price, because you don't want to be wasting your time explaining the product again and explaining the pricing. But if you get those 75% watchers, what you do is you get a bot to kind of ping you or ping them on Messenger when they hit that point, and it has to happen like right away. Or you can use something like Zapier, and it a Zap goes and puts it in your CRM or whatever it is that's going to trigger that. Yeah. You call them right then and there. I just do an outbound call. I don't need to say, hey, schedule a call. Like that's fine. And it works a lot, but sometimes you just need to do an outbound interaction. And so 75% watchers are a huge one. They're there. They're excited. They've seen the pitch. They just need a little extra oomph. And so make sure you just know where your low hanging fruit is. And that's probably one of my number one places that happens is that. Also, another one is post cart close. Some people are just not ready to buy right then. And I get it. You have to follow up with them. I think some statistics, some were floating around in my head that I pulled one time, is it's 4 follow-ups before somebody buys. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But follow-ups cannot be automated. They have to be real. They have to be real. You can't just say, okay, I talked to them once, now put them in a follow-up automated sequence. No, because it's not like, let's say somebody's like, like my wife just had a baby, which for some reason happens all the time. My wife just had a baby. I want to buy this course, but like we need to get through this. Oh, so what do? I make a little note and I call them back and I say, hey, how's the baby? What is like the biggest thing? They're going to be like, oh my God, you remembered. Like you just have to have human
nice.
follow up. So just kind of recognizing where those low hanging fruit are.
So they're so close to buying, but they will wait for another day or another week. And so your outbound sales call right away gives them that personal touch and that little nudge. Is that basically what you're saying? It's so important. It's like they're so close to buy, and it's that low-lying fruit.
Yeah,
right?
And then a lot of people, yeah, exactly. And a lot of people want to like pressure somebody to buy now. And I'm not saying it's pressure. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, if you get them to buy now while they're in the moment, like they'll buy it. They're more willing to do it. But really, I find that has like the most refunds. Like you get people, they're excited, but they don't actually think about what they're buying because they're just excited. That's where your refunds come in. My sales process is very much just talking about, somebody comes to your site and opts in, they're obviously interested. You don't really need to push that hard. You just need to find out why they're there and basically tell them how your product is going to work for them. It's super, super simple. They're there for a reason. So just explain to them how it's going to help them. But don't pressure them. Please don't pressure them. They will buy. Just follow up with them. They will buy. And guess what? All of my companies, no matter where I go, a big thing is my refund rates drop like crazy. The very first company I worked with had a 16% refund rate. Most of the time it was under 5%. Under 5%. We started factoring in on our yearly goals a new refund rate. We saved $40,000 a year by dropping the refund rate just because I stopped pressuring people to buy and I followed up with them. It's crazy how well it works.
Wow. So you said 16 to 5?
Yeah, under 5 most of the time.
Yeah. And so they made like 11%. They grew like by 11% right there just because they had fewer refunds. Great. Number 3, what do you have for us next?
For 3, what's next? So I just put in a bot. Just like bots can do a lot of this stuff. I like to always say bots are really.
I'm totally into bots. So
yeah, I know.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I don't want to like scare people away saying like human interaction is the only thing that's going to get you thing. I totally love bots. I want to automate my business too, but unfortunately mine is mostly human related. But bots can perform those low lying. They can kind of right when that 75% watcher hits, like they should be like sending them a Facebook message saying, hey, like we're about to call you, or like something like that, It could be a matter of different things, or your bot can be notifying you when somebody goes past the cart close and you need to follow up with them or something like that. So make sure you use those bots, but make sure your bots are always pointed to a human interaction. They're pushing them towards a human, but definitely use them at the beginning.
Do you think that bots can help with the nurturing and the teaching, and that can lead them to the likelihood of them not getting a refund because they sort of understand a little bit more about what it is they're actually buying because they've been taught over a number of days or however long through the bot? And then maybe they've done a webinar too and that kind of thing. And they still touch a human within that sales process. But I think that kind of thing could help with the sort of scaling aspect of it, where it sort of multiplies your ability to reach people where they prefer to be reached, and over like text or messaging applications.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I think your bot can definitely drip out whatever type of information you want, to make sure people have the full package. And I'll actually tell you the best place to reach people. You can have, like I said, I go head to head with funnels. I want people to buy via the funnel. I mean, it just makes life easier. But there is one human interaction that saves every purchase. But yes, I totally agree. I think bots can drip out all of that information for you. Really, humans are there for comfort, honestly, is what it is. People just want to be comforted into the purchase. They want to know that there's a person there behind the computer who's taking care of, their purchase. And that's really what we're here for.
Yeah, I guess we all just want to be taken care of.
Exactly.
And we don't want to feel like a fool when we buy something and feel like taken advantage of. And so that human, it gives that trust feeling. So I'm just this is a side tangent. Do you teach empathy or anything like that, or rapport building with any of your people? I mean, of course they got to know the product and they got to know how it works and everything to explain it. But like, does everybody have what it takes to connect with another human being on the other end of the phone? You know what I mean?
No, they don't. But honestly, I'm not the most empathetic person. I mean, I really am. I'm not. I mean, I'm like, people are like, oh, my grandmother died. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't really know what to say in that situation,
Yeah.
So I'm not totally, so I don't necessarily think like you have to be an empathetic person to be good at like my job. You don't have to be a salesperson to be a salesperson. Honestly, you don't. You just have to know. It's more about like, I can feel human feelings through text. Like, it's just a thing that you start picking up over time. Like, somebody could write one sentence and I know exactly what they're feeling. It's just weird things and weird cues that you start to pick up as you learn. Does it mean you have to be empathetic? No, but you just kind of have to understand, like, I don't know, like body language through the phone, honestly, is what it is. So I don't know how to explain it, but yeah,
you get
it's
a
something
feel
that
for
can
it.
be taught. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, what do you have next for us as we go down this journey of customer success?
I'm going to move on to support. So, like I said, I have like a triad. So support is kind of like that one everybody's like, it's an operational expense. I'm going to throw the cheapest person I can find in there and forget about it, right? No, absolutely do not do that. Please. Support is like the forefront of your business. And you may have heard that before. It may sound cliche. This is not about the whole customer is always right thing. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is customer support. That's where a lot of your human interaction is. People are reaching out to you, asking a question like, why are they not like the most important people to you? They have a question about your product that they're getting ready to buy. So number one thing, do not disconnect sales and support. Sales and support should have the easiest bridge to get across. You need to have support agents who are highly trained, like the ones at Priority Experts, highly trained and notice like those sales cues. Somebody writing in saying, hey, I have a couple of questions about a product. Well, they're obviously interested. How do you lead them to the journey to buying? Instead of like, you don't want a robotic, low-level support person who's just there to answer questions and get them going. That's not going to generate sales. Like, I work with several people where I'm just support. I actually don't do sales, but I'm there and I'm like, hey, sale right here, call them now. And they do. They know like I'm handing them the best leads because they're asking the right questions. So please don't disconnect that bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, right? They're sort of hot to buy in a way. And so, yeah, just handing that over to them, and they're not just trying to close a support ticket. And
that's what it is all the time. They're like, How many tickets did you close? I'm like, does it matter? I'm engaging with people. Like, I'm talking to them. Like, if they want to talk for a while, let them do it. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
As long as we kind of have like a less than 24-hour response time, I don't think most people mind that we keep the ticket open a while. So, but these are things that people just have to learn over time. And as I get into support, I start showing them like, you can have good support numbers, but also raise your sales and decrease your refunds. So that's just like number one. But another one is You need to have top level employees in support. And that sounds almost funny too, because a lot of people think of support as like a mid-level kind of job, like, oh, I work in customer support.
Uh-huh.
But really, like somebody like me, I'm trained in like all areas of online business. I know
Hmm.
sales funnels, I know SEO, I know content marketing, I know it all. Am I an expert in SEO? No, but I know enough to say, hey, like this is what's happening. I know enough about your product to say, hey, 5 employees just wrote in asking the same question. We should probably do something with our product. Maybe,
Yeah.
let them know that we actually cover that area in our product, or,
Yeah.
or the CEO is like, okay, we need our next idea. Why are you not asking support? They're the one that's interacting, or the community manager is the one interacting with all your customers. So I know enough about all of the areas to say, hey, like this is what's happening. Let's build a product on this. Or tech wise, like 5 people came with me at a broken link. We need to dig into the funnel and see what's going on.
Uh-huh.
Those are like the things, like you want to have high level employees, not people who are going to be robotic, answer tickets and get them out. Cause that's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and there's a bit of a sort of a trend to have just like these people overseas that are VAs, or just like working at night in like the Philippines, so that it's our daytime to sort of handle that thing but that has a lot of challenges is there to sort of have them understand all the other things like you talked about, SEO, and understand funnels and understand like the larger implications. And also people pick up those accents really quick, and that sort of, some people can get like, they could get upset, and that's, I wouldn't say that's like at all justified at all, but, cause it's just an accent, but some people do get sort of turned off. And so like, I think there's just, I think what you're saying is don't go cheap on the whole end of your business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I have, CEOs bring me on, and they're like, they just don't like, they hand me support knowing, in sales and community management, knowing that I'm just going to fix it. And I do. It's really, really easy to fix. You just have to take the time, but you also have to know what you're doing. And that's why, like, I have top level employees, and I do have some employees from the Philippines, and they've been through immense training though. I train them differently. It's not this whole like, get your tickets done. You need to have super fast response time. You need to answer these questions, like, no, that is not how support works in my world. Like when I call somebody, there's not like, I was on the phone the other day and they're like, can I have your name so I can address you properly? I'm like, yes, my name is Natalie, but can we have a normal conversation? Like, do I say that to Gabriel? Like, I don't say that to people. Like, I don't treat people that way because
I know.
I mean, yeah, it might be good customer service, but you can have good customer service and be like a human.
Not follow a script, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know those scripts can be like, I always hate it at the very end. If there's like, is there anything else that I can help you with today? I'm always like, no, like you fixed the one thing that I had a problem with. So can we just say goodbye in a normal way?
yeah.
They always end it in this funny way. I'm like,
I know.
no, not right now. Thanks. Okay. Well, if you feel like I've done a good job, well, like, please answer this like survey here. And I'm like it's so canned. It's so canned. And I think we all are just kind of tired of that kind of like script where we just kind of we all kind of roll our eyes when we get off the phone on that kind of thing, So,
well, a lot of businesses too. I don't know if you've ever heard of a macro. A macro is like Fresh Desk, Zendesk, all of the support desk centers. They come with like a macro system where you can click a button and it'll like do an auto reply. Those are great, kind of like a bot. They're awesome. But I even have a specific way I apply macros. Like we do use them, but you never, like, everybody always wants to, they always create a macro on an emotional response. Like everybody's coming in with a refund, so let's create a macro. No, don't do macros on emotional responses. Macros should be very low level, kind of like bots. Just picking up kind of the excess slack. Like when I close a ticket, I always want to be the last person that speaks. So when I close a ticket, on support, I always have like a closing macro that says, we're going to close this ticket now. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to respond and this ticket will reopen. Something like that. It just gives people like a sense of closure, like, okay, it's done. And if they're not done, they're like, no, don't close my ticket. I have another question. But it also prompts them to like, oh shit, I didn't respond in 3 days. I should probably get back to that, So those are bot types things, macro type things. But don't use them too much.
Yeah. So, use them carefully. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going. What do we got next?
Community management. So this is kind of like the third triad for the success entity, and
the third leg of the triad.
Tripod.
Yes.
Or like the Zelda, what? No.
I love that. Yeah.
I did the Zelda Symphony. It was awesome. Anyways, tangent.
Yeah.
So community management or social media management. It could be both. It could be one or the other. There's a lot of online companies that have private communities.
Yeah.
It could be that, or it could just be your social media management. So if you've ever gone to a company online, you opt in, they have excellent copy, they have awesome videos, like you're really, really getting kind of pulled in, and then you go to their website or you go to their Facebook page and you notice like they never respond to any of their freaking comments. Or like if you get a Facebook ad and you notice like there's 500 comments and not a single response from a rep from that company, like it's just, for me, it's so frustrating. It's like, oh, okay, so I'm going to buy your product and nobody's going to respond to anything I say. Like it's just kind of like the first thing. It's like where there's nobody actually working here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
kind of ignoring the whole thing, kind of ignoring. Yeah, we have a page, but like no one pays attention to it.
Nobody pays attention to it. So don't bother leaving a comment, But when you have somebody like me there, it's just like a customer support ticket or a sales call. And honestly, like this is almost like the most human. It sounds funny because it's social media.
Right.
But really, this is where we live now. Like social media, this is where we let our true feelings come out. You won't let your true feelings come out to me on the phone. That's too personal. But you will on social media. So this is almost where the most human interaction is. Like this is really where you need to be on your game. You need to be responding to people. You need to be responding to bad comments. A lot of people just go in and delete them. Like, no, why? I mean, of course, sometimes maybe if you have a harassment, thing, maybe you will. But this is like the most human interaction. This is where you really need to be on your game. You need to be moderating comments on blog posts. Obviously, Facebook ads, they garner. I've gone through because I get retargeted all the time because I visit a lot of the sites that I work for. So I'm constantly getting retargeted. And I'm like looking at these comments and I'm like, I guess I'll go comment for these people, because nobody's saying anything. Guys, come on, So it's just really, really important to moderate those comments, and because that's where people look, honestly.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like it would take too long as that's sort of someone's job to do that, and then whatever else that person has to do.
One of your customer support agents should be doing it. If it's just social media commenting and posting. Community management as a private community is a little bit different. As you know me as a community manager for one of the companies that we're kind of together in. That's a little different. Obviously, that's more than just like commenting and moderating. That's more like actually like being a part of the community. But that's a really important, like, just because people bought your product, you don't want to just like leave them be after that.
Yeah, the community can really drive those referrals, those word of mouth events, and which can then just grow the business and just grow the whole thing sort of organically, like a grassroots sort of movement. And if you're just ignoring that whole thing and you're just treating it like, like a stepchild or something like that, then, and just focusing on your high-tech automation funnels and everything like that, it's kind of like decay in a way. It's kind of like that tooth that you should do something about. Like eventually it's going to hurt and you're going to have to, it's going to overall, like you're going to have to get a fixed and fake one put in, a crown, So if you let that thing rot in there and you don't like sort of like actively participate and moderate your forums and address people's comments. So yeah, super, super important. And I think we've all sort of seen those sort of place those kind of situations too. Those companies that are kind of like not putting enough focus or money into that as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see that. It's a good point.
Yeah. And so, I always like to tell people, like when they bring me on as a community manager, I said, this is kind of the one. It takes about 3 months to establish, like when you bring on a new community manager, it kind of takes about 3 months to establish that trust and that relationship. But it takes about 1 month to like burn it all to the ground. Like I'm not lying. You can have an amazing community manager and like in there and they're interacting and everybody's really excited. They're talking to people, they're doing clubs, whatever it is that's happening, in your community. That person's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes a month, maybe if that, to notice that person's gone. And it kind of just starts to like, nobody's really interacting. They're kind of upset, because they had this person. They were part of their journey. For me, every time when I work with a company, the second somebody buys a product, they get an email from me, maybe a couple minutes later, that says, hey, like, welcome. Let's talk on the phone. Let's book a call. So a lot of times if they don't book a call, I will call them. And I will say, hey, welcome. Like, are you settled in? This is how you log in. Don't forget to get into the Facebook community. Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to you find your partner. There's a million things depending on the product.
Yeah.
And that is like a huge thing because that, first of all, that decreases buyer's remorse like crazy. And also, have you ever done something and you don't like, you're kind of nervous. You don't really know what you're doing. You're like online. I don't know where to start. Like I'm there to like hold your hand. And then I take you through that journey. I check in with you. A lot of times I'll check in right before the refund period expires. So I want to make sure you're going to get past that hump. I'm not trying to I never cheat people out of the refunds. If they want a refund, they do it. But I want to make sure that you get through that period for the business and for yourself. I mean, you did make a commitment to buy. You did make this commitment to yourself that you're going to do what it is you're going to do. Like, let's get past that. So I check in then too. But also then I'm there in the community. They know they can message me on Facebook and say, hey, I don't know how to, this link's not working and I'll fix it. And then I'm gone. And it's like, well, shit, like the person that held my hand and got me through is gone. And I don't want to establish a new relationship. It's really sucky for people. So what I hear a lot of times is people are like, well, I don't know if I want to outsource like an operations role. But I'm like, you could have a person who quits, or you can have me who's just going to be here for a lifetime because I just have all of the employees working community management. And you don't want to lose that trust, especially on social media. So my big ones there are moderating comments are cheap. But having that there is like, it's going to be a brand saver. It's going to be a huge thing for your company to be there interacting with people. They're going to know, I go to, XYZ SaaS and they're really, really awesome. I ask a question, they respond right away. I leave a comment. They're like, thank you for leaving it. They're just awesome. So
yeah, it is nice when it's like that, when it's run like that. It just seems like they got their shit together. It just seems like, that feels very personal to like have that comment replied to. And you're like, wow, you're not just this like faceless company, anymore. All of a sudden, like someone actually posted and replied to me. Like that's always really cool when that happens. It feels like goodwill, and it's super cheap to do. Like, and
it is
easy. And
we'll just use one of your customer support agents to do it. They should be able to do both. So it really doesn't need to be a separate cost.
All right, keep going. What do we got next?
So on this one, I wanted to talk, so bots. So I keep saying, like bots can handle kind of like the low level requests. Awesome. Always point to a human, bring them on a trail to a human. I think it's great. Same thing with like bots and community management. They can be like accepting, like maybe you have to like a request system, they have to request or something like that. They can use them for that. It saves my job a lot of time for me. Like, okay, what's your email address? Now let me check and make sure you're a member. And then I have to go back and approve you. Like, why not get like instant access type stuff with the bot? So that's really good. The last thing I have with bots is bots are really good for PR and for like one of like a small part of my job is like cleanup control, like damage control.
Uh-huh.
So I have a funny story. A friend of mine, they did a Facebook ad for a person and they put the wrong link in the Facebook ad. So they spent like $700 on a Facebook ad and it was driving to the wrong link.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened was he said, will you please help me? So I went in and I did damage control. Basically, and a bot could have done this. I didn't set up a bot. I just did it myself. Basically, I took, what I did was I messaged everybody that ever commented on there or like liked, and basically sent them a message saying, hey, I'm really sorry. We made an oopsie. It was like, please,
Yeah.
here's the right link, and
Yeah.
whatever. And it worked. I mean, obviously some people didn't do it and it sucks and that's just part of the mistake. But,
Yeah.
bots are really good with that damage control. But basically, of course, we had a human standing by. So we send out all those messages.
Mm-hmm.
The bot did it. But if somebody responded, then it was me there moderating like the response saying, like, okay, they're like, just ask them a random question. Oh, thanks for the link. Can you tell me more? Something like that. And then I'm there to like tell them more, of course. So it's definitely good for damage control. And your success team needs to know how to do damage control as well, because mistakes happen. Everybody's got a hater, for whatever reason. And you got to be able to handle that damage control with respect and keeping the brand image good, all of that stuff. And also just being human with other people. People are mad, empathizing with them, things like that. And so that's another small part of like the success team is being able to do damage control, unfortunately. So.
Yeah. Well, we all make mistakes and things happen. Like when we can't control, we can't control a lot of things. And so things get shipped out wrong dates, wrong copy, things like that, wrong email, wrong subject lines. I mean, I get it. I got it the other day. They were like, they sent me some like a person's name and it said something about their W-2 or W-4 form, like make sure it's correct or something like that. And I'm like, this has come from a big company, a huge multi-million-dollar company. And then they have to apologize, and they say like, "Yeah, we have a glitch in our system. You should not have received that email." Because I was like, "Who's this person? This isn't." I don't know who this even is. So, yeah. So I was just like, "Well, delete." Right. So,
yeah.
But it happens to the biggest people. So,
well, yeah, I mean, unless you're a multi-million-dollar company that can hire a full like PR firm, which I highly doubt, most of us cannot. You kind of need, somebody to do that, and that's really where your support manager, your success manager comes in and can be able to fix those types of things. Really important.
Cool.
So
I've learned a lot so far. Do you have more for us?
I have really just one more. That's it.
Cool.
So we're the triad, right? Kind of with a little bit of damage control in that triad. The other thing is like me and the team, we're experts in these areas. We're also experts in the teams of these areas, building these teams. You can either hire my team to do it for you, and we'll just do it for you indefinitely, and you'll have the best support, success, sales that there is. But also I have some people saying, hey, I want you to come and build my team for me. And I do that as well. So I'll go in with a company for like 6 months and I'll build their support center. I'll build their sales center, and I'll build their community management, and I build the teams that go with them. And so there's just some things that I look for when I'm hiring people for these areas. And so something I like to tell people is like, if you, for some reason, do decide to hire your own person, there's just kind of some skills that people tend to have that are really good in this area. And you had asked about empathy. And I don't necessarily think that empathy, like I said, is super important. And it's really hard to judge empathy through like an application and stuff like that. You really have to get in there to judge empathy. But something that you can judge pretty easily, and it's like my number one trigger when like hiring people, is what I call forward thinking. Like you need to have somebody who is like a forward thinker, somebody who can like take a simple line and kind of think of all the scenarios, like a one line from like a customer support ticket or something like that, and think of all of the things that it could affect. Like I said, if somebody writes in, they say, hey, I have a broken link, instead of just giving them a fixed link, like figure out why that link is broken, or know where to go to like figure out how to fix that link or something like that. There's simple things that you can do when you're looking for someone. You can kind of give them, like, what I like to do is give vague tests.
Big tests?
Vague tests.
Vague.
Sorry. Yeah, vague. I give people vague tests. Like I'll say, okay, respond to this question, but they don't know anything about like the rules, the product, anything like that. But that's good. I want them to know. I want to go outside the box and see how kind of forward they are. Or I give them a test, maybe like create a survey. I only give them a few simple directions. I want to see how far they take it. How like forward are they thinking, into the future? And so that's just something you can do. And it's like my number one thing. You want people to be like moving forward, not just solving problems that are currently happening, but fixing future problems. And that's kind of something that's pretty easy to find in people.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number one thing.
Yeah. Number one thinking. Would you call that like critical thinking or reasoning ability? I mean, it's sort of like, I don't know, kind of like that. And like a lot of times people go through school and they're just like asking questions like, is this going to be on the test? That's all they care about. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a different person that's like thinking more bigger picture and not really thinking about, is this going to be on the test, but rather, is this going to help me in my career? Is this going to help me get into the school that I want or whatever it might be? It's a little bit of a different personality, mind, character, I guess, mm-hmm. that would be good for that kind of job. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're exactly on point. It's a little bit of critical thinking. It's a little bit about problem solving, but it's also, like I said, thinking about the future. Because it's like you can't scale and grow your success department if you don't have forward thinkers who are thinking about the future and how to improve what you already have. You can even improve the best situation. So that's why you need forward thinkers to always think above and beyond. And that's the number one thing I look for. Customer support skills can be taught to a point. Sales can be taught to a point. I mean, there are inherent personalities that people have to do these sorts of jobs, but they can be taught. But it's hard to teach somebody to be like, to forward think, to like think about the future and things like that. It's kind of hard to get people to think that way. So that's like my number one rule when I hire somebody.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Natalie, thanks so much for sharing customer success with us.
No problem.
Yeah. Natalie Webster is the owner of Priority Experts. And I'm so glad anybody who's listened all the way to the end of this episode here, we have a freebie, a guide that Natalie has graciously put together. And it looks amazing. And so the URL for that is you're going to go to the 20milemarch.com/priority experts. That's 20milemarch.com/priority experts, where you can download the guide for everything that Natalie mentioned today. So
everything and more.
And more. Yes. There's even a bonus.
There is a lot of bonus. So
yes, go and check it out. Go and download it. So awesome, Natalie. Any other parting thoughts before we go?
Don't forget about customer success. It's super, super important to your business.
It's super and super important. You heard it from Natalie. Don't ignore it. Don't go cheap. Like, it can help you grow your company, right? Just by yeah. So awesome. I learned a lot, and I know that people listening learned a lot too. So thanks for sharing your time and your wisdom with all of us. It's awesome.
Thanks. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
We'll see you around.
Bye.